This is just a quick review of the concept of parallel structure, which you have probably seen in your English classes from time to time. So this just means that you want to repeat the same kinds of tenses, verb tenses, or just general patterns within a sentence, and you'll get to see more of what that means through a couple of examples. Usually it'll sound off to you if the sentence isn't parallel, so hopefully you'll hear that in some of these examples. Okay, so this is number 9 on page 408. It says, a review of the composer's new symphony called it confusing because of its unusual structure, and its melodious final movement makes it elegant. So you want this general pattern here, confusing because of its unusual structure. You want that general pattern to be repeated. So here you want an adjective, and then you want some kind of adjective, and then noun combination. Okay, so let's see if we could find that in some of these other answer choices. So A is out because it doesn't have parallelism. It's awkwardly worded at the end there. Let's see if B is parallel. So a review of the composer's new symphony called it confusing because of its unusual structure, although elegant by having its melodious final movement. So this is excessively wordy here. And also, it doesn't really completely follow the pattern. We do have an adjective here, but we really would want because of or some kind of reiteration of the general pattern in the original beginning part of the sentence. Okay. So I'm going to jump down to the right one because I think you seeing the right one will help you see what parallelism means. Okay, so the right one is E. And it's echoing this part of the original beginning of the sentence, which is one of the things we're looking for. Okay, so when you read this into the sentence, it says, a review of the composer's new symphony called it confusing because of its unusual structure, but elegant because of its melodious final movement. So you can see how we have an adjective, we have because of its, and then we have an adjective followed by a noun here. Here's another adjective, actually, final, is describing when it happened. Okay, so you can see how that really parallels the beginning of the sentence much better than any of these other choices. Okay, let's go on to another example. Number 12 on page 431. All species of sea turtles are endangered because of over-harvesting of adults, their eggs being disturbed, and destruction of nesting habitats. Okay, so since all of this is underlined, I'm not going to bother predicting what the correction will be to maintain parallelism because they could really take the structure of any one of these portions of the sentence. This isn't parallel as it is because we have over-harvesting here, which is a gerund. A gerund is when you take a verb like over harvest and you turn it into a noun by adding ing, and it just means the act of over harvesting. It means this is an action and it's treated like a noun. So we'd want that repeated at the beginning of the following two pieces of information. We'd want gerunds again, but we don't have that. So that's why A is not parallel. Let's just read all the answer choices and see if any sound terrible just to start off with, and then we'll try to narrow it down to 2. Okay, all species of turtles are endangered because of the adults being over-harvested. I'm going to get rid of this right away because being is always wrong on the SAT. They hate the word being when it's used in this manner. Okay. Also, you can see there's not parallelism. It has all of the same problems as the original. Okay. C, all species of sea turtles are endangered because the over-harvesting of adults, disturbance of their eggs, and destruction of nesting habitats. So actually, this one's a little tricky because we're missing of here. Because if you look in the original sentence, of is underlined. So that means that it's getting replaced by these answer choices. So that's a problem with C, and it makes it illogical. You need of following because, so that can't work. Okay. Let's read the last two and then see what's appealing about each of them. All species of sea turtles are endangered because the adults are over-harvested, their eggs are disturbed, and their nesting habitats are destroyed. That sounds pretty good to me, but let's see what the next sentence looks like. What I like about this is it repeats are, and it also has the same part of speech before are. These are all nouns. Okay, well, let's see what's up with E. Okay, all species of sea turtles are endangered because, again, we're missing of, because being over-harvested as adults, their eggs being disturbed, and destruction of nesting habitats. So there's no of here, which we need. Also, we have being, which is just loathed by the SAT writers. It won't be in the right answer about 90% of the time. If you have being, that's going to be wrong. Okay, so D is the best answer because it maintains parallelism within each of these parts of the list of ways that the turtles are being endangered. It has the same structure. You could see each of these verbs ends in ed. Okay, so that's a good example. That one's tricky. It's number 12, and that means it's right at the end of this part of the 25-minute writing section. Okay, number 14, page 431. Acquaintances of Alexei have commented that he is at once annoying because of his unpredictability, but his imagination is still a delight. So actually, this is also a word pair question because at once is always followed by and. So we can get rid of A and B. A and B also are kind of redundant because when you say at once, it's implying that the two qualities are contradictory, while also is implying that the qualities are contradictory, so it's redundant when you have at once earlier in the sentence. So let's check out C and E. Acquaintances of Alexei have commented that he is at once annoying because of his unpredictability, and he is delightful in his imagination too. Two is also redundant because at once is implying that he's both of these things at the same time. Also, this doesn't follow the pattern of the original. We have adjective here and annoying. We have because of. That's interesting. It's actually similar to one of the first ones we looked at. And then we have his and then another adjective. Okay. So let's see if we have that in E. Acquaintances of Alexei have commented that he is at once annoying because of his unpredictability and delightful because of his imagination. So here you can see that delightful links up with annoying, because of links up with because of, and his imagination links up and parallels his predictability. So E is the most parallel way to finish this sentence out. Okay, this was page 469, number one, so it should be pretty easy. Confident that she was fully prepared, Ellen decided to spend the night before the recital reading and relaxing, but not to be practicing. Okay, so I actually think this is kind of hard for being number one. So we want to repeat these gerunds, reading and relaxing. So it's the act of reading, the act of relaxing. But this is not quite right. And what we're looking for here is rather than. So this is really almost an idiomatic question, so it's a little tricky. So we can automatically get rid of C because it doesn't even repeat the ing. And then let's just check out the other answer choices. So confident that she was fully prepared, Ellen decided to spend the night before the recital reading and relaxing and not for practicing. The for is not appropriate here because if you just put this right here, it doesn't make sense. Ellen decided to spend the night before the recital not for practicing. It doesn't make sense that way. It would have to be not practicing. Okay, let's see D. Confident that she was fully prepared, Ellen decided to spend the night before the recital reading and relaxing rather than practicing. So that sounds good and it has parallelism. I could just see here that this introduces having, which is not necessary and which breaks up the parallelism. I'll just read that in so you can see how that sounds. Confident that she was fully prepared, Ellen decided to spend the night before the recital reading and relaxing rather than having practiced. So you can actually see it doesn't even have the ing here. And this is introducing a helping verb that's not parallel with the verbs earlier in the sentence, or sorry, the gerunds. So those are verbs that are functioning as nouns. Okay, so D is the best choice for this because it parallels the earlier parts of the sentence best.